The sun was slowly rising over the city of Viridian as the people were starting the day, since today was the day that new trainers were starting their Pokemon journey. Within a small two-story mansion, one Naruto Uzumaki, the son of the Kanto region champion Minato Namikaze and the leader of the Viridian City Gym Kushina Uzumaki, was finishing packing his gear for the start of his Pokemon journey. Today's the day. I am finally starting on my journey, and I'll finally be able to impress Claire with my skills in Dragon Pokemon. A smirk crossed his lips as he thought about his crush and fiancé. Naruto was a good 6 foot. He had long blonde hair that reached his mid-back and was tied in a ponytail, and cauldron blue eyes with slits for pupils, just like a dragon. He was wearing a pair of black jeans and a red t-shirt with a black short-sleeved trench coat with red flames licking the bottom. Finally, it's time to get going. He swung his pack over his shoulder and grabbed a fang-shaped locket with a picture of the Blackthorn gym leader and his fiancée's Claire on one side and Cynthia on the other side. Running down the stairs, Naruto was greeted by his mom and older brother, Volkner, the current leader of the Sunnyshoore City Gym. "Yo Volkner, what are you doing here?" Naruto asked, only for his brother to grab him in a headlock. "Is that any way to greet your brother when he takes time off to come and see you, you little brat?" He asked, only to get a blank look from the teen. "Fine, then I guess you don't want the gift that Cynthia sent with me." He held out his hand only to find it empty in the box in Naruto's hands. "Wonder what it is." Naruto to open the box, which revealed the newest version of the Pokegear, which was blood red in color, and already had Cynthia's, Claire's, and his mom's number already programmed in. Damn, Cynthia really went all out on a good luck gift. He smiled, putting the present in his pocket. With a smile on his face, Naruto gave his mom a hug before bolting out the door towards the Pokemon Center in order to get his starter Pokemon along with 8 other kids starting their journey. 20 minutes later, Naruto was walking into the Pokemon Center where he saw Professor Oak along with 2 other teens staring out like him, Sasuke Uchiha and Kiba Inuzuka. "Oh Naruto, glad you make it so early. I was just about to give Sasuke and Kiba here their first Pokemon." Seeing as they don't want to wait for the other new trainers, Professor Oak smiled, showing the tray of Pokeballs behind him. "That's alright, I was wanting to head out as soon as possible as well." Oak nodded, motioning the 3 boys to gather around him. "Now first for Sasuke, from your brother we have this for you." Oak handed him a dark ball, which he tossed into the air, releasing a Houndour. Not surprising. Sasuke smirked in his typical Uchiha fashion. "Next, Kiba, from your sister this is for you." Kiba got a regular Pokeball which he tossed, releasing a Puccina. "Alright, way to go sis," Kiba smirked, petting his new Pokemon. "And finally, Naruto, sent to me by Claire from the Cherisific Valley." Oak handed Naruto a Moonball, which he tossed into the air, releasing an orange Charmander that was twice the size of a regular Charmander. "Sweet, I definitely got to thank Claire for this," he said, hugging the Charmander, which nuzzled into him with a smile. "Well, now that you have your own Pokemon, here are your Pokédexes." He handed each of them one of the newest versions of the Pokédexes with a smile. "Now I wish you all luck out there on your journey." With that, the 3 boys left with their new Pokemon in tow. "So where are you guys headed first?" Kiba asked once the 3 were outside the Pokemon Center. "Well, I don't know about you guys, but I am headed out to Unova. Got to go see Elsa. Also need to meet with little Iris and old man Drayden." Naruto chuckled, recalling Charmander before running up towards the airport. A few hours later, Naruto was walking around Nimbasa City and he was completely and utterly lost. "Damn, this is so annoying. Where the hell am I?" Naruto yelled to himself before bumping into a man with green hair and a gray hat. "Sorry about that." "It's alright, it was partly my fault," the man said with a smile before noticing the Pokeball on Naruto's waist. "Are you a Pokemon trainer?" "Yeah, I am, even though I just started a few hours ago," Naruto chuckled. "Is that so? Then how about a friendly battle?" The man pulled out a Pokeball with a smile. "By the way, my name's N, it's nice to meet you." "The name's Naruto Uzumaki, it's nice to meet you as well." He smirked, pulling out Charmander's ball before tossing it into the air, releasing said Pokemon while N released Zorua. "Now let's get this battle started." Charmander use Ember. Zorua, dodge and use Pursuit. N called as the little black fox dodged the barrage of fireballs before tackling Charmander. Charmander, get in front of it and use Dragon Rage. Charmander got in front of the black fox before shooting a steam of purple flames at the fox, which hit point blank, sending it flying into a tree, knocking it unconscious. The crowd that had gathered as the 2 battled, which included Elsa, Iris, and Drayden, all cheered while N recalled his downed Pokemon with a smile. "Well, it looks like you beat me, but it was a good battle," N smiled, stretching out his hand, which Naruto took with a smile on his face. "Yeah, it was good, and thanks, that was an assumed battle, char. The crowd cheered again as N walked away before Elsa wrapped Naruto in a hug. "It's good to see you, Naruto," she smiled, letting him go as he shook hands with Drayden and was tackled by Iris. "You to Elsa, so when do we head out?" He turned to the Dragon Gym leader who was smirking. "Just like Claire, always a hothead when it comes to dragon types. No wonder you 2 make a great couple." The old man sighed, shaking his head. We'll be heading out in 1 hour. That's when the migrating begins, and that will be the best time for you and Iris to get an Axew." He grinned as both Naruto and Iris smiled. That night, the 3 dragon trainers were camped outside of Mistralton Cave, where Axew were commonly seen, even though the cave was almost impossible to get to for normal trainers. Man, I can't wait for the sun to rise. Then we can get an Axew, and it'll be one step closer to becoming a true dragon master. Naruto had stars in his eye while Charmander nodded her head before going back to her food. I know. I can't wait to get my first dragon. When I do, I am going to be the best dragon trainer ever. Naruto gave her a deadpan look. Yeah, too bad I am already ahead of you in that. He smirked at seeing her fuming face as he put a hand on Charmander's head. Yeah, well, after I get my Pokemon I am going to become a lot better than you. She stuck her tongue out at him, getting the two to laugh. The next day, the three dragon trainers were overlooking a small ditch where a colony of Axew, Fracture, and a few Haxorus were currently nesting. That's it, I can't take it anymore, Naruto yelled, jumping into the ditch before the old man could stop him, in order to save an Axew that appeared to be the runt of the nest. At Naruto's outburst, all of the Pokemon turned their attention towards Naruto, ready to defend their territory if he proved to be a threat. When Naruto reached the floor of the ditch, all of the Axew who were picking on the smallest ran back towards the others at the sight of Naruto's eyes, which were glowing blood red while his features became more feral and dragonic. What the hell do you think you're doing to this little guy? He growled out, standing protectively over the small Axew, while the biggest Haxorus walked forward. That boy is nothing but a runt, and how we treat our own is no concern of yours, even if you were one of the bridges between humans and Pokemon, the Haxorus said before glaring at both Drayden and Iris, who slid up behind the boy. I don't care if it has anything to do with me or not. I am not gonna let you continue hurting this little guy, he roared before releasing jet of fire from his mouth, surprising Iris, while stunning Drayden, who hadn't thought Naruto had developed his powers as far as he had. With a glare, the Haxorus fired his own jet of flames, which cancelled out the one Naruto fired. If you do not want any more harm coming to that boy, then take him and leave. He has no place here. The older Haxorus turned away as the colony all began heading away from the fort, except for one Axew, who ran over to Iris. Fine. Then I'll just take this little guy, and make him one of the strongest dragon Pokemon in the world. He turned to smile at the Axew, who smiled back as Naruto pulled out a Pokeball which he tossed at the Axew. Alright. I caught an Axew, Naruto yelled, holding up the Pokeball that held the newest member of his team. Naruto sighed as he walked along the path towards Pewter City, his recently caught Trapinch walking behind him. 3 days after catching his Axew, Naruto had flown to the Hoenn region in order to meet up with Drake, a member of the Hoenn Elite Four and Claire's dad. Unfortunately, after arriving, he was confronted by a member of Team Magma and Aqua, each grunts and each on orders to take him back with them, by force if necessary, which resulted in him battling both members before Drake arrived to find Naruto playing cards with his two Pokemon, and surprisingly, losing badly, especially to his Charmander. After the Magma and Aqua members were taken away, Drake took him to Route 11, which was basically a giant desert, where they spent 3 hours searching for the Trapinch walking next to him, before he headed back to Kanto in order to get his first 3 badges at least. Come on Trapinch, let's win our first badge, he cheered once they reached the city of their first official step in becoming the strongest dragon trainer alive. Yeah, let's kick ass, she smiled as they reached the gym, which was surrounded by rocks of varying sizes. Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. I am here to challenge the gym leader for a boulder badge, he said, walking into the darkened gym, before shielding his eyes as the lights came on, allowing him to see the man at the other end of the gym. My name is Flint. I am the new leader of the Pewter City Gym. Since my son left, he had a smirk on his face. So I finally get to face Kushina's son. This should be interesting. He motioned to a boy that looked like him, who entered the judge's box. This will be a 2-on-2 Pokemon battle. Only the challenger may switch his Pokemon during the battle. Let the match begin, the boy yelled, raising a pair of flags. Rhyhorn, I chose you, Flint yelled, throwing his Pokeball while Trapinch walked out onto the field. Rhyhorn, start things with takedown. Trapinch, use Mud Shot to blind it, then dodge, Naruto roared as Trapinch opened her mouth and fired a jet of mud right into the charging Pokemon's face before she dodged the blinded Pokemon, who ran into the wall, knocking itself out, causing everyone to sweat drop. Rhyhorn is unable to battle. The first match goes to the challenger, the boy said as Flint recalled his Rhyhorn, before throwing out his next Pokemon, which happened to be a Graveler. Let the second match begin. Alright Trapinch, let's start things with Attract. Trapinch winked at the Graveler, who got hearts in its eyes and a faint blush around its checks. No Graveler, use Rollout to try and break out of the Attract. Graveler swayed drunkenly before curling into a ball and rolling straight at Trapinch, who was sent flying into a wall. No Trapinch, Naruto yelled as she slowly rose to her feet before falling unconscious. Trapinch is unable to battle the winner of the second match as the gym leader, the judge said as Naruto recalled his Pokemon. That was a good match, girl. You deserve a long rest, he smiled, putting her ball away before grabbing his next Pokeball. I was really hoping to save this little until after training her a bit longer, but I guess now's a great chance to see how strong this little girl really is. He tossed the Pokeball into the air, releasing a Dano, getting a surprised look from Flint. That's a Dano. Where the hell did you get something like that? He asked as the Dano walked over and rubbed her head against Naruto's leg. Well, it's a funny story. You see, I was headed to the airport after catching an Axew when I stumbled upon this little girl sunbathing. After giving her a little food, she started following me, so I just ended up catching her. Dano nodded her head before rubbing it against Naruto's leg again, just like a dog. Well, it doesn't matter, Graveler. Let's end this fast with a rock throw. Graveler gained a white glow around him as rocks began rising into the air. Dano, Dragon Pulse. The dragon opened her mouth and fired a stream of pulsing purple energy, which hit and knocked out Graveler before he could even launch his attack. For a few seconds the gym was silent as Flint and the judge both stared at the Dano, who had gone back to rubbing her head against her trainer's leg, before the judge called the match in Naruto's favor, still shocked by what had happened. Well, that was surprising, a voice from the wall said, drawing everyone's attention. Leaning against the wall was someone Naruto really didn't want to see at the moment, Yugito Ni, the daughter of Lieutenant Surge, the Vermilion City gym leader and also the bridge between electric Pokemon and humans. What are you doing here, Yugito? Naruto asked with a twitch in his eye at her smug smirk. I came to get a gym badge, same as you, Naruto. His smirk grew as an Elekid appeared from behind her legs and began growling at Dano, who growled back. You know your electric Pokemon won't do any good here, right? She just stared at him as if he were stupid. Of course I know that, idiot. She smacked him over the head before heading towards the door. But since Flint needs to heal his Pokemon, and thanks to you I got an idea of his style, I am going to go and plan my strategy. See you later, dragon. She waved over her shoulder as the door closed behind her and her Pokemon. Well, she's right. That certainly was a surprise, Flint said, walking up behind Naruto before handing him a boulder badge. Here you go, Naruto. The boulder badge. You earned it. Now don't forget to call your mom and tell her you got that. He smiled as the boy stared at the badge, before putting it in a black badge case with a dragon on it, shaking Flint's hand, and heading out the door towards the Pokemon Center. That night, after getting his Pokemon healed, Naruto was sitting in the lounge of the Pokemon Center having a three-way video call with his mom, Claire, and Cynthia. And before his Graveler could even pull of an attack, Dano fired of a Dragon Pulse, sending it into a wall, and winning the battle, Naruto said proudly as his Dano licked his face before resting her head on his lap, causing the three women to giggle. Well, it currently seems like you're off to a good start. You already have 4 Pokemon and a gym badge, Claire smiled, causing him to blush. You're right, Claire. If he keeps this up we might be battling him sooner than we think. Cynthia giggled as his blush deepened while a shadow appeared behind him. Speaking of battles, it looks like you may have a challenger behind you. Hello, Yugito, how have you been? Naruto turned to find the electric bridge standing behind him with a smile on her face. I've been fine. It's nice to see you all again, she smiled, leaning of the dragon bridge with a smile, getting another round of giggles from the older women. So what are you all talking about? She asked curiously. Naruto was just telling us about his win at the Pewter City Gym. Kushina smiled at the girl she hoped would be her third daughter. So Yugito, have you gotten your badge yet? Not yet. I was going to get it today, but Flint was in the middle of a battle with this idiot. Naruto growled at her while the three women laughed at the way the two acted around each other. You know, Cynthia, if we're not careful, Yugito here might get to Naruto before one of us. Claire snickered along with the other two as the two teens blushed up a storm. What? There's no way I would ever be with him. Her. The two yelled, getting another round of laughter from the three older women. Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I have a challenger I have to face in the morning, so I'll talk to you all later. Oh, and make sure to use protection, you two. Claire laughed as the three women hung up, leaving the two blushing teens staring at the phone monitor, still blushing, before they headed to their rooms for the night. Naruto was pissed, not because Yugito had beaten Flint faster than him, no, it was the fact that when he left Pewter City, she had followed him, claiming she was keeping an eye on him for his mom he knew wasn't true. Tell me again, why the hell are you following me? Naruto growled out at the blonde next to him as she smirked. She was wearing a pair of black sweatpants and a black tank top with a picture of Zekrom on her chest and black bag around her waist and a pair of yellow running shoes. Because your mom asked me to keep an eye on you, she said with a wry smile on her face before it disappeared, being replaced by a serious expression. Besides, we need to stay together. I've heard a rumor that Team Magma got a hold of Kuretsuchi while she was training up at Mount Chimney and Team Galactic got Haku while she was training at Lake Acuity. This got Naruto's attention, since he had heard the rumors as well, but didn't believe them, since he knew both Haku and Kuretsuchi were strong, and very stubborn when it came to anything. You're right. With the teams getting more desperate to catch us we do need to be more careful, he admitted, even though he disliked the fact she was right. Good, now that that's settled, let's get a move on, because I told Sabrina that we would meet her in Cerulean City, the electric bridge said with a smile, pulling his arm between her breast and running down the path, ignoring his protest and blushing face. After a few hours of running the two reached a small clearing by a lake, where they decided to have some lunch and train a little. Alright guys, time for lunch, Naruto yelled, tossing 4 Pokeballs into the air, releasing his Charmander, Axew, Trapinch, and Dano. Let's go guys. Lunchtime, Yugito called, releasing a Mareep, Elekid, Electrike, and Shinx. Wow, nice team, Naruto said, pulling out his Pokédex and looking up the info on her team, since he couldn't when she battled Flint, seeing as he was still asleep. Yeah, I know. Your team doesn't seem so bad, she smiled, putting her Pokédex away while their Pokemon interacted. Thanks. So, how about a spar after we eat? He smiled at her, causing her to smile in return. Between us or our Pokemon? She held her hand up as lightning danced between her fingers. Between us, of course. I haven't had a good spare since Kimimaro, and that was tough. Especially when it feels like you're punching steel every time you hit him. He could still feel the phantom pains from his spar with the metal bridge. Alright, but just so you know, I won't be going easy on you. They smirked at each other before nodding in agreement. After a good lunch which consisted of a stew and some berries, Naruto and Yugito stood across from each other, while their Pokemon all stood at the sidelines watching them with interest, as a calming wind blew between them, plucking a leaf from one of the surrounding trees. The second the leaf hit the ground, both teams shot at each other, colliding in the center of the field as they exchanged blows with like a pair of fighting-type Pokemon. For a few seconds they traded blows before Naruto ducked under an electrified punch from the girl and jumped away, shooting out a jet of purple flames in order to make her keep her distance. "Wow. Didn't know you knew Dragon Rage," Yugito commented, dodging the flames, pointing her pointer and middle finger at him and firing of a blast of lightning, which sent him flying back a few feet. "The same could be said about you and Thundershock," he said, getting to his feet, only to find his right arm was numb with electricity sparking around it. Seeing him paralyzed, Yugito ran at him with a thunder punch, which he countered with a dragon claw, causing an explosion which sent them flying back in opposite directions. "This is starting too interesting." Yugito smirked as her eyes began to glow yellow while Naruto's eyes began to glow a dark blue, before they started trading blows again. A heavy pressure began to fill the air as the two continued to trade blows when suddenly a bright white light filled the clearing, catching their attention. Turning towards the source of the light, the two teams gasped as their Pokemon began to evolve, Charmander into Charmeleon, Trapinch into Vibrava, Axew into Fracture, and Dano into Zweilous for Naruto's team. Elekid into Electabuzz, Mareep into Fluffy, Electrike into Manectric, and Shinx into Luxio for Yugito's team. "What the hell just happened?" Naruto asked Yugito as their eyes returned to normal while their Pokemon checked each other out, curious as to what happened to them. "I honestly don't know." Yugito was wide-eyed at seeing their Pokemon evolve without any form of warning. "I think we should get to the next town and fast. The sooner we can get to a Pokemon Center, the sooner we can contact Anko, B, Lucy, Karen, Nagato, and your mom." Nodding his head in agreement, they recalled their Pokemon, packed up their supplies from lunch, and began running towards Cerulean City, seeing as they were already past Mount Moon. After an hour full of non-stop running, the two teens reached Cerulean City, where they rushed straight to the Pokemon Center, calling up a hug gust of wind as the passed, causing women on the street to hold down their skirts. "I see, so they just evolved without any warning. Interesting," Kushina said as the two teens nodded, having finished telling Kushina, Karen, Lucy, and Nagato about what happened while they were training. "Where are you two right now?" "We're in Cerulean City. After they evolved like that, we ran here as fast as we could. We weren't really sure what else to do," Yugito said, leaning over Naruto's shoulder, ignoring the small blush he had on his cheeks. "Well, luckily they're nothing to worry about," Karen said, getting a confused look from the two teens. "She's right, there have been a few cases where stuff like this has happened around us before," Nagato said, smiling at his nephew. "We're not exactly sure why, but we have a theory. Apparently, whenever two or more of you release a large amount of energy, it causes all the Pokemon in a 10-mile ratios with that type or type evolution to evolve." Their eyes widened at that. Their Pokemon evolved because of them. "So we're the reason our Pokemon suddenly evolved without warning," Naruto clarified, getting a nod from the older Bridges. "But that's never happened before when we spar." "That's because every time you spared was in an area where your types were nowhere close to you." Lucy smiled, causing them to think over all their past fights and notice that she was right. "But like we said, the part about us causing the evolution is just a theory." Both of them sighed in relief that their Pokemon might not be in any type of danger because of them. "Excuse me," said a cheery voice from behind the two teens, causing them to jump. Turning around, they saw Nurse Joy standing there holding 2 trays of 4 Pokeballs. "Your Pokemon are fully healed and perfectly fine. There was no complication with their sudden evolution," she smiled, getting another sigh of relief from the two as they took their Pokemon with a thank you. "Well, at least there were no problems with your Pokemon," Kushina smiled as they nodded in agreement. "Now I believe you two have a Pokemon gym battle and a meeting with Sabrina, so you better hurry. You know she doesn't like to be kept waiting." With a round of good luck from the older Bridges, the two teens hung up and left the Pokemon Center in order to find the Psychic Bridge before their gym battle. "Where the hell is she? We've been wandering around town for almost an hour now and we still haven't found her," Naruto complained as the two stopped outside a bike store. "I don't know. She said she would meet us at the bike store." Yugito looked around while Naruto groaned. "How about this? We head over to the gym, get our badges, and then come back, and if she's not here we can head to the Pokemon Center and call her." With a nod from the Dragon Bridge, the two headed towards the Cerulean Gym, not noticing the pair of eyes watching them from inside the store with a bored look in them, before the owner of the eyes sighed and followed them. Once the two Bridges reached the Cerulean City Gym, they both stared as the sight of the crowd that was gathered outside of the water gym. "What the hell is going on?" Naruto asked, staring crowd, which was slowly growing. "The Cerulean sisters are putting on a show today," said a voice from behind the two, causing them to jump and turn around, only to come face to face with an angry Sabrina. "Hey Sabrina, what's up?" Yugito chuckled nervously as she rubbed the back of her head in a sheepish manner as the two backed away from the angry Psychic Bridge. "I've been waiting for you two. We need to talk," she said with a serious look on her face. "We've got word that Fu might have been captured by Team Galactic." This shocked both the young trainers, seeing as Fu was one of the strongest out of all of them, even though she was the same age as them. "Though we are unable to confirm this, your mother wants me to tell you that Claire is on her way from Johto in order to travel with you too." "What, Claire's coming?" Naruto said with a fanged grin on his face, missing the slight frown from Yugito. "Yes, she decided to take a small vacation and travel with you," she smirked, reading what Yugito was thinking, since she was practically shouting her thoughts. She's going to have one of the elders watch the gym for her, and I would join you as well, but the members of my gym of morons, she chuckled, knowing that she would lose more badges if she were gone than if she stayed. So when's Claire supposed to be here? Naruto asked, looking at the psychic bridge. Well, why don't you turn around and find out, said a voice from behind the two, causing them to jump in surprise while Sabrina chuckled. Turning around, the two trainers saw Claire standing behind them. She was wearing her normal black skin-tight bodysuit and cape, which was getting her a lot of attention from the guys passing them. Claire, Naruto yelled, wrapping her in a big hug, which she eagerly returned. It's so good to see you again, he smiled, leaning his head on her breast, getting a slight twitch from Sabrina and Yugito. It's good to see you again to Naruto, she said, giving him a small kiss, smirking at the twitching coming from the other two bridges. I hope that pervert of a godfather of yours hasn't corrupted you since the last time I saw you. Don't worry, he didn't, Naruto said once he was released from the hug. Every time he tried I used dragon breath on him. That's good, she smiled, looking over at Sabrina and Yugito. It's good to see you two again, it's been a while. Yes, it has, Sabrina smirked, reading Claire's thoughts about what she was planning to do to Naruto that night, as well as letting Yugito join in. Well, I guess we should head over to get your gym badge, before I have to leave. I do want to see how good you two have become. Getting a nod from the others, the four headed towards the cerulean gym. Are you sure you two are up for this? Lily asked, standing across from Naruto and Yugito, her sister Violet standing next to her as they prepared for a 2-on-2 Pokemon battle, the crowd cheering at the side. Moments ago, before the sisters could start their show, Naruto and Yugito had walked in and challenged them to a gym battle, which they had to accept. Of course we're ready. Let's do this, Naruto smirked as he held his Pokeball in front of him. Alright then. Let's do this, Violet said, motioning Daisy, who was acting as the ref, to start the match. Alright, this will be a 2-on-2 double Pokemon battle between the gym leaders Lily and Violet, the crowd cheered. And the challengers Naruto and Yugito. All trainers are allowed to Pokemon each. The match will end when all the Pokemon on either side are unable to battle. Let the battle begin, she said, starting the battle. Let's go, Seal. You're up, Goldeen, the sisters said, calling out their first two Pokemon, both of whom dove under the water. Vibrava, you're up first, Naruto yelled, releasing the dragon type. Flappy. Show them what you can do, Yugito said, releasing the sheep Pokemon onto one of the floating stands in the pool for non-water Pokemon. Let's kick things up, Flappy. Use Thunderbolt, Vibrava. Poison the water with Toxic. The sheep released a bolt of lightning through the water while the dragon shot a jet of poison into the water, while the seal managed to get onto one of the lands before the water was hit by either attack. No, Goldeen, Violet yelled as Goldeen floated to the top of the pool unconscious. Goldeen is unable to battle, Daisy said as Violet recalled her Goldeen before pulling out her second Pokeball. Go Shelter, she called, releasing the Pokemon onto one of the lands. Use Icicle Spear on Vibrava. Seal, help Shelter out with Icy Wind, the sisters called out. Seal let out a blast of cold wind while Shelter began firing spears of ice at Vibrava, who was attempting to dodge the attacks. Vibrava counter with Sonic Boom. Vibarvas began firing of waves of energy from her wings, knocking the attacks, of course. Flappy, help out with Discharge, Yugito said as Flappy, who had managed to sneak up behind the two, let off a static bolt that hit the three other Pokemon on the field, knocking the two water Pokemon unconscious since Vibrava was part ground type. Both Shelter and Seal are unable to battle, leaving the gym leaders with one Pokemon, Daisy said as Naruto and Yugito bumped their fists together, not noticing that they were giving of a small amount of power. If this battle keeps up, Vibrava and Flappy may evolve again from the amount of power those two are radiating, Sabrina said in an undertone to Claire, who nodded while watching the battle. She could see that both Naruto and Yugito were tapping into their powers unconsciously. Alright, Seal. Let's show them what we can do, said, releasing her second Seal. Use Ice Shard. Seal began firing of shards of ice at the two Pokemon, who were dodging it, a soft white glow around them both. Hey Yugito, how about we wrap this up? Naruto asked, glancing over at her. Alright, I am game, she smirked in return. Flappy, Vibrava, use Hidden Power, they yelled together. Both Pokemon gained a whitish glow to them before releasing a ball of energy at Seal, both hitting the water Pokemon, causing an explosion. When the smoke cleared, the crowd was in silence for a few seconds at the sight of Seal's unconscious form floating in the water, before they all broke into cheers. Alright, we won, Naruto cheered before he was pulled into a kiss from Yugito, which shocked him, and caused the crowd to whistle and cheer. Once the kiss ended, both of them blushed, and looked away from each other before their Pokemon began to glow, catching their attention, along with everyone else. They're evolving again, Yugito whispered, as she watched her Flappy become an Ampharos while Naruto's Vibrava became a Flygon. But how? That battle wasn't enough to get them to evolve, and I don't think we were putting out any power, Naruto whispered back as Flygon landed in front of them with Ampharos on her back. It's because you two were unconsciously tapping into your powers during the battle, Sabrina said, walking up behind them with Claire. You have to remember, our powers are still a mystery and all we really know about them is that they react to our emotions. Both their eyes widened. I thought I felt a little strange as the battle continued, but I didn't think we were putting out that much power, Yugito said, stalking her Ampharos. Do you have any clue as to what pushed them to evolve? That kiss you two just finished in your little power high pushed them both due to the amount of power you two were giving of, Claire said, smirking, causing them both to blush again. That was a great battle, you two, Lily said as the three sisters walked over to them. Yeah, it was really good, Violet said, holding out 2 cascade badges. You two defiantly earned these. Thanks, the two said, taking the badges. Alright, we got the cascade badge, they said, bumping knuckles again. Here you are. Nurse Joy said a few hours later as she handed Naruto and Yugito back their Pokeballs. After the gym battle, Sabrina had teleported back to her gym while Naruto, Yugito, and Claire headed to the Pokemon Center to make sure that there was nothing wrong with either Flygon or Ampharos. Both of your Pokemon are perfectly healthy, there were no side effects to their evolution, though I would try and be more aware of your powers if I were you, she said, getting a nod from the two. They knew she was right, but they were still learning how to control their powers, so you really couldn't blame them. It's not like they were trying to force their Pokemon to evolve. Well, we should get some sleep, you two. We've got a long trip to Vermilion tomorrow, Claire said, leading them to the room they were sharing, since all of the other rooms were booked, leaving them in one room. The room itself was nice except for the fact that there was only one bed. Well, I guess I'll be taking the floor, Naruto said once all of them were ready for bed. Naruto was wearing a pair of black boxers, Yugito was wearing a pair of white panties and a nightshirt that barely covered her breast, and Claire was wearing a pair of black panties and a black bra. What are you talking about, Naruto? Claire asked, pressing her C-cup-sized breast into his back with a seductive smirk on her face. There's plenty of room on the bed for all three of yous. Besides, you are our fiancé and we should get some experience in, she smirked, pushing him onto the bed and locking the door to their room. Lemon Claire slowly licked his lips as she removed her bra and panties, slowly stalking over to Naruto, whose face was brat red as he licked his lips at the sight of the woman. Well, do you like what you see? Naruto dumbly nodded his head as the sound of more cloths hitting the floor caught his attention. Turning his head, Naruto's eyes widened as Yugito, no longer wearing her cloths, walked forward with a seductive smirk on her lip. What about me, Naruto? Do I excite you? She asked, pulling him into a deep, passionate kiss, sparks literally flying around Naruto's head from the kiss. Wow, I like that, he grinned stupidly, causing the two women to giggle. Can I have another? He asked, getting his request while Claire removed his boxer, revealing him to be standing at full attention already. Oh my, Claire said, getting the attention of the two bridges. This certainly is big, she slowly licked it, with Yugito joining in, causing Naruto to shudder in pleasure. For a few seconds, both women continued to lick and suck on his cock before Naruto released his load all over both of their faces. Man, that was great, Naruto said, his eyes completely glazed over before he was pushed onto his back. Well, I am glad you liked it, Claire said, mounting his waist, lining her wet pussy up with his hard cock. However, we're not done yet, she smirked before slamming down onto him, letting out a scream of pleasure, since all the rooms were soundproof. Slowly Claire began to rock her hips back and forward, picking up speed as she went while Yugito mounted Naruto's head, massaging her breast as Naruto grabbed her waist and shoved his tongue into her pussy, getting a scream of pleasure from the girl, which caused the lights in the room to flicker. For a few minutes the lights continued to flick before lighting up the room as all three came, Naruto shooting his load into Claire, who clamped down on Naruto, Yugito doing the same to his tongue. Oh man, that was good, Naruto said as both women collapsed on top of him, panting from their orgasms. Glad you enjoyed it, Naruto, Yugito said as she switched places with Claire. Because it's my turn now, she carefully aligned her dripping wet pussy with the tip of his cock before dropping onto it, letting out a scream of pain as her hymen broke. For a few seconds, neither Naruto nor Yugito moved as the pain slowly faded, before she began to move, slowly adjusting to Naruto's size. Once she was used to him, she nodded her head and began to move while Naruto began thrusting into her, causing her to moan in pleasure while Claire mounted his head, while moaning into a deep kiss as Naruto began licking her pussy. Again, as their speed began to increase, the lights began to flicker, faster and faster, until Naruto released his load inside Yugito, causing her to moan in pleasure before every light in the center exploded, before both Yugito and Claire fainted onto his chest from their pleasure high. Lemon and sorry again about the lights, Nurse Joy, Naruto said the next morning, having changed all of the lights that had shattered from the fun he had the previous night with Claire and Yugito. It's alright, just try to be careful next time, she said, holding the ladder as he climbed down from changing the final light. At least it was only the lights and nothing more important. Naruto paled at the thought of what she might have done to him had it been one of the more important things in the center, like the restoration machine. Yeah, at least it wasn't anything big, he chuckled as he rubbed the back of his head in embarrassment. That morning when Nurse Joy had tried to turn on the light, she had discovered that every light in the center had blown a fuse, and knowing that the bridge of lightning was in the center, she had gone straight to their room and knocked on the door hoping for answers, only to faint with a small bloody nose as a naked and sleepy Naruto opened the door. Sorry again, we didn't mean to blow out every light in the center like that. Like I said, it's alright, she smiled as he folded up the ladder and carried it away, with her following behind him. I should have expected that. A young healthy male and two young healthy women in the same room, especially when two of them bridges between humans and Pokemon, she said, knowing she should have seen this coming from a mile off. Yay, well, thanks again for allowing us to stay here for the night, he smiled as they reached the front door, where Yugito and Claire stood waiting for him, seeing as he had finished changing the lights and put away the ladder. But we really should be heading to Vermilion City, so take care, he said, waving to her as the three left the center and headed for their next gym battle. So, you're Ash? Naruto asked, looking at a boy who was looking around for the Pokeball containing his newly caught Krabby, which had gone to the place he had got in his Pokédex, though it appeared he didn't know that. It had been a week since Naruto, Yugito and Claire had left Cerulean City, and the three were currently walking along a beach headed to see a colleague of Professor Oak's, a man named Bill. The three were almost at Bill's home, having taken a break for a day at the beach and for fishing, Naruto catching a horsey while Yugito caught a chincho, when they came across the boy as he captured a crabby. "Yeah, I am Ash. Who are you?" The boy asked as two other teens ran up to them. The first was a girl with orange hair and the other looked like Flint from Pewter City. "Hey Ash, what's going on here?" asked the girl as they caught up to the boy, before seeing the group before them. "Who are you three?" "Yo Brock, long time no see," Naruto waved to the stunned teen. "Naruto, Yugito, what are you two doing out here?" Brock asked, getting confused looks from his two traveling companions. "Brock, do you know these people?" Ash asked, looking at his friend. "Yeah, these are Naruto Uzumaki, the son of the Viridian gym leader." Naruto nodded his head, and Yugito Ni, the daughter of the Vermilion gym leader. The eyes of the other two teens widened as they looked at Naruto and Yugito. "Well, since you introduced them, allow me to introduce myself," Claire smirked, getting the group's attention. "I am Claire, the leader of the Blackthorn City Gym in the Johto region." "Wait, you're a gym leader?" asked the orange-hair girl while Ash looked like he was about to ask for a battle. "Yes, Misty, I am," she smirked, seeing the shocked look on the girl's face. "You should NT look so surprised. I am a gym leader, so I know almost all of the other gym leaders and their families," she said, leaning on Naruto. "If you're a gym leader, then why aren't you at your gym?" Ash asked, confused. "It doesn't matter," Naruto said, interrupting. "Ash, I've heard about you from Professor Oak, so how about a battle?" He held up a Pokeball. "Alright, you're on," the boy said excitedly, moving a little bit away. "So who are we going to do this?" "I was thinking a one-on-one battle." Ash nodded before throwing out his Pokeball, releasing a Charmander. "Well, looks like this will be an evolutionary battle." Naruto tossed up his Pokeball, releasing his Charmeleon, which was a little bigger than a normal Charmeleon. "Wow, that's a big Charmeleon," Misty said, looking at the fire Pokemon in shock as it walked over and to stand next to Naruto with a smirk as he put his hand on her head. "Of course she is. She was born and raised in the Cherisific Valley before she was given to Naruto," Yugito said, smirking as Brock started the battle between the two trainers. "Alright, let's start this battle." Charmander start off with Scratch. Charmander ran forward with glowing claws. Counter with Slash. Charmeleon's claws began to glow as she countered each of Charmander's strikes without trying. Now Headbutt. Charmeleon dodged under Charmander's guard and rammed her head against the smaller fire type, sending him backwards. Alright, now Flamethrower. Charmeleon opened her mouth to fire a jet of flames which hit her pre-evolved from and knocked it out. "Alright, way to go Charmeleon," Naruto said while Ash ran to check on his Pokemon. "That was a good match," Naruto said, holding out his hand once the two fire types were back in their Pokeballs. "Thanks." Ash gripped his hand firmly with a smile on his face. After the rather one-sided battle, the two groups headed for Bill's lighthouse, Naruto and his group to see the man while Ash and his group looking to use the phone and a place to rest for the night. "So this mysterious Pokemon is what you've been looking for?" Yugito asked. It was nearing midnight and the two groups were standing next to Bill at the top of the lighthouse as he told them about a Pokemon he had seen a few times but knew nothing about. "Yes, one night I heard a strange sound coming from across the ocean." He pulled out a remote and pressed a button, causing a recording of the call to play over a loudspeaker. As the sound played, Bill explained what the sounds meant, or what he assumed they meant, while the two groups stared out over the ocean, Naruto deep in thought at what the sounds were saying, since he could understand them. "Would you try to capture the Pokemon?" Ash asked, getting an amused look from Bill. "Why would I need to capture it? Meeting it would be enough for me," he said honestly, before they all heard the call drifting in from the ocean. Turning towards the source of the call, everyone's eyes widened at the sight of a giant Pokemon walking towards them. "I was right. That is what's making the noise." Everyone turned to Naruto as he said this before he grabbed a Pokeball. "Alright then." Throwing the Pokeball into the air, Naruto released Flygon, who hovered in the air before them. "What are you doing?" Bill asked frantically, getting a smirk from Naruto. "You're wrong about what it wanted." Bill looked confused at that. "While it was looking for something, a friend's not it." "You can understand it." Naruto nodded his head slightly. "Then please tell me, what is it looking for?" "Me," he said simply before jumping off the lighthouse and onto Flygon's back before she took off towards the giant Pokemon. What did he mean by that? Bill turned towards Yugito and Claire with a questioning look. "He means that Pokemon is a dragon type that's been looking for him," Claire said with a smile. "I am not as good as understanding dragons as Naruto, but from what I heard it was calling out asking for his help." "Wait, are you saying you can understand what that thing is saying?" Misty asked in surprise, getting a nod from Claire. "Yes, but not at the level of Naruto and Yugito." They all turned to Yugito. "Sigh. Don't look at me. I can't understand dragon Pokemon, only electric Pokemon." Bill's eyes widened at this as he realized what that meant. "You and Naruto are bridges," he said in understanding, getting a nod from Yugito and a confused look from Ash, Brock and Misty. "That means that Pokemon is a dragon." "Yeah, but not just any dragon Pokemon." Everyone turned to see Naruto hopping off Flygon's back, a bag in his arms. That dragon was the guardian of the Dragon Island, a special place for dragon Pokemon. "Naruto, what happened?" Yugito asked, seriously glancing at the Bridge of Dragons. "Team Rocket has taken Dragon Island. They're using it as a research facility for something." Yugito's eyes widened at this. If Team Rocket had taken Dragon Island, who knew what else they had gotten? Though the good news is that all of the dragons currently on the island were able to get away, and that Dragonite, the guardian of the island, brought me these. Naruto sat down the pack he was carrying and opened it to reveal a number of eggs. The first pair were white. One had a blue triangle on it while the other had a red triangle. Next was a green egg with yellow rings on it. The fourth was blue with a light blue pentagram on it while the fifth was pink with an hourglass on it. The sixth egg was light gray with a yellow crown-like shape on the front. The seventh egg was white with red flames wrapped around it. The eighth was black with lighting wrapped around it, and the final egg was gray with snowflakes on it. These are special eggs that were left on the island for the day that I was ready to go and get them. But since the island was taken, that Dragonite brought them to me. Naruto smirked at them before repacking them and standing to face everyone with a smile. But since I wasn't ready to go and get them yet, I am going to train hard than ever so that I am ready for when they hatch. I'll be there with you every step of the way. Claire smiled, getting a nod from Naruto. And don't forget about me. There's no way I am letting you surpass me no matter what. Naruto smirked at Yugito's proclamation. The first thing we should do is move those to a secure location. Naruto nodded at that. He didn't want anything to happen to the eggs before they hatched. Before anything else could happen, everyone turned to Claire as a ringing was heard coming from her. Hello, this is Claire. Everyone was silent as Claire took her call. Wait, but I understand. I'll return shortly. Something happened at the gym? Claire nodded her head with a sigh. Yes, I am sorry you two, but I looks like I'll be headed back to Johto. I am sorry. The two bridges waved of her apology as she released a Dragonite. Hey Claire, do you think you can take these to the Cherisific Valley for me? He asked, handing her the bag of eggs, to which she nodded, taking the eggs and kissing him, before she mounted Dragonite, who took off once its trainer was ready. Once Claire and Dragonite were out of sight, Naruto and Yugito said farewell to the others, since the sun was coming up, and headed towards Vermilion City. Damn, don't these idiots know when to give up? Naruto opened his mouth and fired a jet of purple flames, hitting 3 rocket grunts. Apparently not, Yugito said, firing of thunderbolts hitting a few of the grunts and their Pokemon. It had been about 3 days since Naruto and Yugito had left Bill's lighthouse headed for Vermilion City, when they stumbled upon a small group of about 20 Team Rocket grunts and an admin. Once the admin had saw them, he recognized them and ordered the rocket grunts to capture them, which led to a battle between the two bridges and the rocket grunts. Ha ha ha, you might as well give up now, the admin rocket said, thinking he was going to win, even though the two bridges had already taken out half of his forces. Like hell, we're giving up to you bastards. Everyone Dragon Pulse, Naruto and all of his Pokemon let loose a beam of purple energy, hitting a few of the rocket grunts. Yeah, we aren't going down without a fight. Everyone used Thunderbolt. Yugito and her Pokemon fired of a blast of lightning, taking out the rest of the grunts, leaving only the admin and his Pokemon, though both Naruto, Yugito and their Pokemon were tired. Looks like you brats are all tuckered out, meaning it's time I finish this. Raticate use Hyper Fang and Muck you use Sludge, the admin ordered his two Pokemon. As the two Pokemon prepared to attack, a new voice caught everyone's attention. Weavile use Ice Beam and Houndoom use Flamethrower. A Houndoom and Weavile appeared in front of the two bridges and fired of their attacks, knocking out both of the admin Pokemon. You two look like you could use some help. The three turned to the owner of the voice, Naruto and Yugito, with a smile on their faces, while the rocket admin had a look of fear on his face. Karen. Both of the young trainers said happily upon seeing Karen, one of the Elite Four of the Johto region, in the bridge between dark Pokemon and humans. Hey Gakis, long time no see. She smiled at the two before turning a glare onto the admin, who was shaking like a leaf. As for you, I don't know what any of the teams are up to, but none of you are going to lay a finger on any of us if I have anything to say about it, she said angrily before firing a Night Daze, knocking the admin out. Karen, what are you doing out here? Naruto asked, running over, wrapping his arms around her in a hug, which she eagerly returned. Well, I was on my way to Vermilion, since I heard that's where you two were headed. Then I heard the noise and came to investigate. Good thing I did. She smiled as she gave Yugito a hug as well. Yeah, if you hadn't shown up, who knows what would have happened. Yugito smiled at one of the older and stronger bridges. Before anything else could be said, they all turned as a bright light grabbed their attention. Oh yeah, we forgot to recall our Pokemon. Naruto chuckled as their Pokemon evolved from the power they were releasing from their battle with Team Rocket. The three trainers watched as Charmeleon evolved into Charizard, Fracture evolved into Haxorus, Zweilous evolved in Hydreigon, and Horsey evolved into Seadra for Naruto's Pokemon, while Yugito's Electabuzz evolved into an Electivire. Her Luxio evolved into a Luxray and her Chinchou evolved into a Lantern. Well, it looks like your teams have evolved again. Karen smirked, putting a hand on each of their heads. Of course I am not really surprised, seeing as you two were putting out a lot of power. Both teams chuckled nervously at that, since they had put out a lot of power while battling the rocket grunts. Anyways, we should head to town in order to make sure your Pokemon are alright after their evolution. Nodding their heads in agreement, the three recalled their Pokemon before rushing towards Vermilion City. How are they, Nurse Joy? Yugito asked, seeing Nurse Joy walking towards the three bridges. It had been a few hours since they had reached the Vermilion City Pokemon Center to have their Pokemon looked at. I am happy to report that your Pokemon are all doing well after their sudden evolution. Naruto and Yugito sighed in relief at that. Though I recommend letting them rest for the night before you go challenge Lieutenant Surge, she said seriously, getting a nod from the two. Well, that's good, at least your Pokemon are fine, Karen said with a smile. Though we do need to talk, the tensed up at the seriousness in her voice before following her out of the center. For a few minutes the three walked in silence until they reached a small plain building that looked ordinary to anyone walking by, though they could see the symbol for the Elite Four carved into the corner of the door. The three calmly